Zachary Harding, welcome to Profile.
Thank you.
So I want to start at the present. You are the founder and executive chairman of Delta Capital Partners as a private equity firm and chief executive officer of the Stocks and Securities Group. But many people hearing of those current roles might write you off as a finance guy. But you've actually worked in a variety of different kinds of companies, from marketing and a variety of different areas, I should say, from marketing to sports to movies, and some big companies along the way. Appliance Traders Limited, Wisynco, Red Stripe, Grace Kennedy Remittance Services, to name a few. But a lot of people might be surprised to know that on this path, you're actually doing law when you started out at a local university because you were following in the footsteps of your father.
That's correct.
Ozzie Harding.
Yes, that's correct.
Longest serving senator in Jamaica's history and former president of the Senate. Why law?
Well, growing up, I thought my dad was pretty cool. So I said, he's a lawyer. He's been a great dad. He's provided for us. So maybe law would be my thing. Plus, you know, I like to talk a lot and argue and stuff like that. So everybody's always like, yeah, man, you should do law, you know. So I just kind of never really thought of many other options other than law.
Now, most of us know Ozzie Harding from the political sphere. What was he like as a father? Tough.
Very disciplined, but very patient and very loving. Right? Very, very patient, very caring. There was one thing that I never doubted, and that he was there for me. If I was in the grill and something happened to me, and there was one person to call, it would be my dad, and I know that he'd drive to come and pick me up. So lots of support, but he was a disciplinarian for sure. He expected nothing but the highest standard from my brother and myself, and he always encouraged us and pushed us to be the best at whatever it is we chose to do.
And you're part of a really close-knit unit. Your brother, your father, your mother. Let's talk a little bit about your mom, Marigold Harding.
Oh, mom is a champ. She's my best friend up to today. We're on WhatsApp, maybe too much. She's always checking in on me, asking me how I'm doing, making sure I've eaten, making sure I got enough sleep. But she's really been the guiding force in my life in terms of just a moral compass and ensuring that I am being the best version of myself that I can be.
And a model of what women should be like.
Absolutely. So I remember growing up, there was a book on the bedside by Sidney Sheldon. The name of the book was A Woman of Substance. And as a little kid growing up, my mom was always reading the book. So I just made the correlation. I was like, yeah, my mom is a woman of substance. And so she has just been that leader in the family where there's no time that she enters a room and everybody doesn't know that Marigold is present. So she's really been a champion.
So a woman of substance, a dad of substance, although very strict, a bit of a disciplinarian, you've said, but also very, very supportive. What were the conversations at the dinner table like?
Dinner at my house was interesting because we talked about politics, we talked about business, and we talked generally about current affairs and, you know, sort of our views and perspectives on what was happening in society. My brother and I were very much into music, so we'd get into long debates with my dad about current artists at the time and how they compared to artists in his generation. So it was always a time for introspection as well as retrospection, and we discussed topics and everybody had a voice. Everybody was allowed to say what they had to say, and you're never ridiculed in any way. Even if people disagreed with you, it was more along the lines of, you know, well, Archibald, tell us why you feel that way. And as a child, I got a chance to express myself.
And encourage the debate overall.
Absolutely.
So you've spoken earlier about the fact that, you know, you thought that was pretty cool, wanted to follow in his footsteps. So moving on from Priory Prep to the University of the West Indies, you decided to do law, but then found out that this was not your thing.
Yeah. First day in law school, first lecture. Lecturer walks in. I'm not going to call his name because everybody knows who it is. And he's a popular politician. Lecturer walks in and says, anybody here in this class who's here because they think that lawyers make a lot of money, you're wrong. And now would be a good time to leave. Now, I didn't leave the first day. It took me a year. But that opening salvo just had me saying, oh, you know something? maybe I should consider all of my options. Not that I took it literally, as if they say like lawyers don't make good money, but having gone through the year at law school, I enjoyed it. But for years 2 and 3, I'd have had to go to Barbados. And at the time, I was very much involved in entertainment in Jamaica. And the thought of leaving it didn't interest me, 1. And 2, I just knew that it wasn't something that I could do as a profession. So I left.
When you say we're involved in entertainment, no, you were throwing parties, you're a DJ, which is probably a surprise to a lot of people. Having decided to leave law school, was there, I imagine there might have been a sort of weight of expectation, was there? Sure.
I remember having to go to my dad and tell him that I was not going to continue for years 2 and 3. Very nervous because obviously I thought that I'd be really disappointing him, letting him down. And I said, Dad, it's not for me. I have to go and do something that I really enjoy. This is not my passion. And he said, son, I would never want you to do anything that didn't make you happy. So I'm okay with whatever your final decision is. You're a big man now. I only have one request, and that is, whatever it is in life you decide to do, you make sure that you're the best at it. He said, if plumbing is your thing, and that's just what your passion is and that's what you want to do, be the best plumber Jamaica ever had. And I never forgot those words.
You weren't just working in entertainment, though. You were a Bellman at the time.
Yes, correct.
So having done all of this, Priory Prep, Campion College, University of the West Indies, you're working at a Bellman at the Crown Plaza Hotel.
Correct.
Didn't people outside of the family unit say, what are you thinking?
Sure. I got a lot of pushback. Most of my friends were away at top universities, and here I was carrying people's bags at a hotel. But the lesson from that was one of humility, because oftentimes we look at other people and what they're doing, and we sometimes even look down and figure, boy, that's all I'm doing. I'm only working as a cashier or as a bank teller or something, but there's a role and a job for everybody. That role was critical to me because everything that I ever needed to learn about customer service and serving people, I learned being a bellman, right? When somebody comes off of a long-haul flight from Europe, they land, their bags are missing, they're hungry, they get to the hotel, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're frustrated, and your job is to welcome them to Jamaica and to make them feel warm and comfortable. It teaches you how to understand people in new ways. And so that was one of the best jobs that I ever had in my life.
And imagine at the same time that it also teaches you how to market to people, even when they have particular kinds of complaints. And I want to talk about that a little bit in the next segment, especially because you have linked not just marketing to DJing, but to dancehall culture specifically. And you say it's a proxy for how one can actually make decisions. So that is where we are headed when Profile returns right after the break. Stick around.